Back here on HQ Spotlight, we have a schedule breakdown of the NFC East coming your way. The Giants had the hardest strength of schedule last season, so the schedule gods being a bit nicer to them this go around. The Eagles have the easiest strength of schedule out of all of the teams in the division based on the 2025 opponents, and the Cowboys. Is this finally their year after they tried to bolster up the defense in the draft, and the Commanders looking to get back to an NFC Championship game, which, what do you know? Week 1, we have a rematch of the Commanders and the Eagles, that rematch of the NFC Championship game where Jaden Daniels and the Commanders lost 55-23. Jaden Daniels 1-2 in his career against Philly, and then also Cowboys-Giants. So all NFC East teams playing one another in Week 1. We got the fellas, John Breech and Emory Hunt, joining us here for an NFC East schedule breakdown. Great to see you guys. We're kicking things off with the Eagles. In the division, they do have the easiest strength of schedule. So what are your expectations, Emory, for Jalen Hurts, Saquon, Nick Sirianni as they try to get back to a Super Bowl?
I think the main issue and thing for them this season is to stay on schedule. That's the run game. Let that play action pass game marinate, and then you're able to take those deep shots down the field where Jalen Hurts tends to excel, both outside the numbers and over the middle of the field, contrary to popular belief. And the defense has to be able to get off the field on third downs, be opportunistic. There's some shifting going on in the secondary. We'll see if that is able to stabilize itself as the season goes on. But for me, it's mostly about doing what got you here. Dance with whom you brought to the party. That's their run game, and that's their defense. And if Jalen Hurts feels comfortable with this offense, we'll see this offense tend to take off. Even though people talk about Jalen Hurts as if he didn't play his best season statistically in the passing game last year, he is a big part of what they do well and why I like Philadelphia to do a lot of great things this season as long as he is under center.
Yeah, the Eagles are always an interesting case because it seems like every offseason there's some new drama. It's what's wrong with the offensive coordinator? Why can't Jalen Hurts play well, even though he statistically does seem to play well? Why doesn't A.J. Brown want to stay in Philadelphia? We just keep asking these new questions, and all the Eagles keep doing is winning games. They've won back-to-back division titles, the first team in the NFC East to do that since 2004. So the question is, can they win back-to-back division titles? Can they pull off the three-peat? I think when you look at this schedule, there are a couple interesting things here. I think they have a great chance to get off to a hot start because they do get that Commanders at home. And then you go to Tennessee. Those are two games where the Eagles will almost certainly be favored. If you start 2-0, that is pretty good. The other thing I like about this Eagles schedule is that a lot of their most difficult games are in Philadelphia. When you look at their 4 toughest non-divisional games, I would say that's the Rams, the Seahawks, the Texans, the Steelers. All of those are at Lincoln Financial Field. So when you're getting those games at home, that's a huge help. And then you get to that late game schedule. Look, you have week 14, you get the Colts at home. Week 16, you get the Texans at home. Those are 2 dome teams that have to play outdoors in December. Dome teams do not play well outdoors in December. So I do think this is a favorable schedule for the Eagles, and I won't be surprised if they end up winning 3 division titles in a row.
John's prediction for Philly 12-5, Emory 15-2. Let's go to the Cowboys, where we've been hearing murmurs amongst our colleagues out there, just in general, that this could be their year. I feel like we hear that every year, but they open up against the Giants, heading to Brazil to take on the Ravens on CBS. So, Breech, what is the prediction for America's team?
Well, Jacqueline, was the internet even invented the last time the Cowboys were in an NFC title game or a Super Bowl? It just feels like it was so long ago. It was last century, 1995. It's been quite a while. So is this the year where it finally ends? I have some good news for Cowboys fans. Just going through that schedule, I have them going 11-6. So no, not beating out the Eagles for that division title, but that will be good enough to get them in the playoffs. I like the fact that on the schedule, they get 3 straight home games starting in week 10. And you see they play the 49ers. That's a tough opponent. That opponent has to go to Dallas. You get the Titans. And then obviously the Eagles on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys have been hot on Thanksgiving. They've won 4 straight games, including beating the Chiefs last year. Now the negative part of the Cowboys schedule. We all know they go down to Rio de Janeiro in week 3. That will be a very tough game. against the Ravens. Well, the NFL schedule maker did not do the Cowboys any favors. They have to fly home 10 hours from Rio and then turn around and play on the road the following week against Houston, one of the best defenses in the NFL. Maybe they'll get some rest after that? No, because they have to turn around and play on Thursday night against the Buccaneers and then back-to-back games against the Packers and Eagles. Jerry Jones is never going to want to play an international game again if the NFL schedule makers are going to do them like this. So I do think the Cowboys do well this year, but that front half of the schedule is pretty brutal, especially coming off Brazil.
Yeah, I like them to go 12-5 this season. I think the defense will step up their play and play alongside what the offense has been capable of doing the last 3 to 4 years. I think that week 14 bye is huge for the Cowboys. I think that's going to come at a perfect time for them to finish out the season on a hot note to where they're going to close out and probably push Philly for that NFC East crown.
So we have the Eagles and the Cowboys, both your predictions giving them double-digit wins. Let's go to the Commanders, where they're trying to get back to the Commanders of 2 seasons ago, where they went to an NFC Championship game. And what do you know? They're opening the season in an NFC Championship rematch of that game against Philly. So, Emory, how do you see the season shaking out for the Commanders? We're fingers crossed. We're hoping Jaden Daniels can stay healthy.
Well, if he stays healthy, that puts them in position to probably carve out some of these wins. I have them going 8-9. I still have a wait-and-see approach with this defense. I think that's the biggest issue for me. I love the fact that they went out and got Rashad White. They got Kaytron Allen in the draft. So the run game should be prominent alongside a healthy Jaden Daniels. You hope they've done enough in the passing game. I know they bring back Diami Brown. That's a big weapon for them, in my opinion. But defensively, with the pieces they've added in the defensive line, in the secondary, have they done enough to where they can be at least middle of the pack defensively? Because we know their offense, as long as their QB is out there for a full 17-game season, they'll be able to put up points, but that defense has to be able to at least be average, and I have to wait and see first.
Yeah, and I'm glad Emory emphasized the defense, because that defense is going to have to improve quickly. It simply was not good enough last year. And when you look at that opening slate, they're going to have to gel very fast, because they're going to have to bring their A game the first few weeks of the season. I mean, when we're talking about these first 4 weeks, Washington's season could be over before it even starts. They are the only team in the NFL that opens the season with back-to-back road games against divisional opponents. So if you lose those first 2 games, you're already buried in a hole in the NFC East that is going to be difficult to get out of. Then you have to go play the Seahawks and then fly off to London. So an 0-4 start is not inconceivable here. I have the Commanders going 7-10. So I do think they're going to struggle a little bit this year, and I just think that start is just going to be tough for them.
Okay, finally, let's go to the Giants, where the John Harbaugh era is kicking off. And speaking of health, this Giants team also hoping for better health in 2026. So, John, what are the biggest takeaways here when you're looking at the schedule, and what do you ultimately think the record is going to be for the G-men?
Well, I do think that John Harbaugh is going to do better than what the Giants did last year, but that's not that difficult. I have them going 6-11, and again, like the Commanders, they just have 2 very tough games to start the season. You're talking about playing the Cowboys. Of course, they get that at home, so there's a little bit of an advantage there. But then flying out to Los Angeles to face the Rams in week 2, that is obviously not an easy game. And then, again, at the end of the season, you have the Lions on the road. You have to go on the road to face the Cowboys and, of course, the Eagles in 18. So it's really tough the way this schedule is set up for the Giants. Of course, they have Jackson Dart. They should have an electrifying offense. So this is a team that I think can pull off some surprise wins at some point on the schedule, whether that's maybe a Week 13 win over the 49ers or a Week 11 win over Jacksonville. I do think we'll see a couple surprise wins from the Giants, but I have them going 6-11.
I have them going 9-8. I think they'll start out 4-2, and we'll be all excited about it. But the league did them no favors on the back end of that schedule. Starting at week 7, we'd have to go on the road to the Texans, and then there's a slew of road games that are on the back end of their schedule. I think that's where the losses start to pile up. So I have them going 9-8, winning season, but definitely not in the postseason.
You know, we all love a revenge game. I'm looking forward to the Week 12 Daniel Jones revenge game there against the Colts. Emory, Breech, hang tight. More schedule predictions in just a moment. But in the meantime, getting a look at the odds to win the NFC East. The Eagles, they are the favorites at plus 140. Then we have the Cowboys right behind them at plus 200, followed by the Commanders and the Giants, where John has the Giants going 6-11. Emory's prediction is 9-8.
So we're going to take a break and see if Emory can switch his helmets quick enough to go AFC North. That's what we're tackling next here on the show.